This podcast is sponsored by Utocop. For more details, please click on the link that is in the description below. Welcome to episode 13 of On a Personal Note with Adarsh Sakare. Uh, Episode 12, in fact, comes out today. So, another thought that is also on my mind is the release of episode 12 is today. And I hope you have a good time watching that. It's a completely different story. Very relaxing, but anyway, we can talk about that post this. But today we are on episode 13, and I must say again a unique character in the studio, I can say. And before I, as usual, talk more about why I have invited the person here, let's say hi to Shankar Chugani.
Hey, what's up, Adarsh?
Hi, man. First of all, thanks for being here, Shankar.
I'm glad, man. I'm glad I could come.
Thanks for being here. So usually I start the episode with telling them the reason, right, why you're here. Like, why did I feel like I want to chat with you? And, just to set the context right for the people who know you as well as for the people who don't, right? So one thing, if you start reading up about Shankar, right, he's a stand-up comedian who is worked very hard. Like, I get a feel that you have put in a lot of efforts, and the vibe is pretty real. Like, even when I met you, I got that vibe. So he's worked pretty hard in the field. He's been around here for about 5-6 years, and I get a sense that he has a very, very clear world of his own. When you go ahead and watch his work, you'll realize that even, of course, the field of stand-up is very unique, but even within that, Shankar is living in his own world, which is very tough to, kind of analyze. Because usually when I start researching about a person, reading up about the person, I'm able to draw an image, bro. I'm able to at least put an outline. I'm honestly saying I'm not able to do that with you. Okay. So very unpredictable and at the same time very interesting. Right. So with that being said, tune into this episode. We're going to hear a completely different story from a stand-up comedian's point of view. And I've always found stand-up comedians very interesting. So hope you like it too. So Shankar, let's start off, man. Like,
that's quite a introduction where it's like the line you see in the trailer.
Okay.
For people to watch the movie, and you don't want to give away too much. You're just telling them like, hey, you don't know what might happen. The princess might be saved or the world might end. Why don't you watch? Because you were like, he lives in his own world.
Yeah.
Anybody who doesn't like me will be like, yeah, he thinks he's very funny. That's what people will understand. But thanks, man. That's very sweet of you.
Perfect, man. I want to, directly jump into, one thing that you told me. You said you performed on a bus. Shankar Chugani has performed on a moving bus. I can't put that into picture. So I want to really start with that.
Okay, we're starting right with that story.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you start doing stand-up, you go to open mics, you do your first 5 minutes, and you keep building to a point where other comedians see that you've been doing for a while and you're able to get laughs. So they invite you to do other shows.
Yeah.
And over time, you perform for a long enough slot for people to be like, I'm doing a show, I'm going to put your photo on the poster, and you will be doing 20 minutes. This comedian will be doing half an hour. And then you keep increasing your time till you're the comedian that is doing the longest.
You're slot. The main guy.
Main act.
Yeah.
So this story is from a time when I started doing 15 minutes or 20 minutes in shows. I was working at Jagrati Theatre in Whitefield, and at that time, I wasn't earning any money from stand-up, but you would try and get as many possibilities to perform. You would try and get up on stage as often as you can. So there was a there was a event company who had taken a few doctors to Coorg
Okay.
for a medical conference
Mm.
with a pharmaceutical company. And they wanted a comedian to entertain them after the conference is over in Coorg.
Okay.
But their catch was the comedian also has to entertain the doctors on the way to Coorg in the bus.
So this is the part of a requirement.
Yeah,
It's not spontaneous.
No. It wasn't.
You are aware
Yeah.
that this is
So,
happening.
And no comedian was willing to take this show because they were like, it's nuts. I'm not going to
Who's
perform
gonna
on
do
a
it?
bus.
Come on.
But for a comedian who doesn't have money, for a comedian who doesn't know.
I like how honesty is about it, right?
I wouldn't look at it like, hey man, I can't do this. In my head, I was thinking, if I do this gig and it goes well, half my rent is sorted.
As
So,
simple as that.
That's it. So I was asking myself, do we really want to go through this? I also had never done this before.
Mm.
And when I heard no comedian was willing to do it, I approached the company. I was like, you know what, I'll do it. They said, all right. We got on, all the doctors got onto the bus. I got on to the end. And you know, when you're traveling in a semi-sleeper bus, you have the television.
Semi-sleeper. Okay, you're sitting, but
you have the
you're going
recliner
back.
chair.
Okay. And you got that thing for the leg.
Yes,
where
you
can
rest that.
Yeah.
It would have been really awkward if it was a full sleeper bus. Everybody is lying down and watching me. It would have been awkward.
Yeah.
So in the semi-sleeper bus, you know the television that's there in front that you watch, where they put horrible movies.
Horrible.
Every time. There's nothing else. So this bus didn't have a separation between the passengers and the driver.
Okay, so the passengers were all the way till the
till the driver.
There's no gap there.
There is no. Some buses have the door
right
where you have to leave and then.
Where there's a real division.
Like I could see the gearbox of the bus right behind me.
Makes sense.
And from that spot where where the conductor sits, they had put in an amp with the microphone and they had connected to the PA system of the bus.
Oh shit! Okay.
And the bus driver is behind me. He's driving, and the organizer is like, "Welcome everybody. We're going to go to Coorg and everybody's got your schedules. You can see, you can tick whether you're a vegetarian or a non-vegetarian. We have the itinerary." And
so
now,
very sophisticated crowd, or what's the scene like?
all of them are doctors.
Okay.
So I would say they weren't sophisticated, but they were all like...
They're well-to-do.
Well-to-do,
educated. Okay.
They're doctors who are going to Coorg for a pharmaceutical conference. So they're chilling in life.
Okay.
So they said to kickstart the event, we have the comedian who's going to entertain you while we go to Coorg. And I said yes for the gig, but when I was getting onto the bus, I asked them, you don't expect me to entertain them all the way to Coorg, do you? Because that'll be nuts. He said, no, you can just entertain them for like
here and there.
45 minutes to an hour here and then 45 minutes to an hour at the conference. And I was thinking, what have I gotten myself into?
Oh shit, that's 2 hours of content.
Yeah, I can't do the jokes on the bus and then do the same jokes
at
in Coorg. So
now this is a fix, huh?
So I was standing and I started talking to them. And as you do stand-up, sometimes when you're working on a new joke and you're interested in how you can work on that joke, all the previous jokes you kind of keep it aside.
Okay.
In your head, actually in stand-up, people call it hack. Like you hack your way into making a joke work. Where you use a catchphrase or a stereotype or a voice. Like you speak in a certain way and you know the people will definitely laugh at this.
Come
for sure.
through. Yeah.
That's hack. Otherwise, a well-written joke is always like a gamble whether it'll work or not.
Okay.
So all the previous jokes that I had forgotten in the first year of comedy, I started with that.
Okay.
And I was telling the crowd about that, and I was getting a couple of laughs here and there.
Okay.
I was talking to everybody, and we had gotten out of the city and we were on the highway. So we were driving at cruise speed. At one point, I don't know, some car came right in front of the bus, so the bus driver hit the brakes and I almost flew into the windshield. I had to grab on to the first available metal object and everybody got scared. And I think they felt pity for the fact that I am doing
you
this
in danger
in all of this. And there's no seat belt for the performer who's standing and like performing. So
nobody really thought that through, right?
So I generally when you're performing, you talk to the crowd, you ask them where they're from. So I had the information that all of them are doctors. So I kind of started with a couple of doctor jokes and asked where they are all from. And Then I went row by row, just asking them a couple of questions, and I
Mm.
tried to make a joke about it for
Mm.
everybody to laugh. Like, sir, what do
On
you
spot.
like? What do you like? One person said, I like movies,
Mm.
making money,
Mm.
and Salman Khan. And I was like, that's a weird combination. I think I know I'm misremembering. He didn't say movies first. He said I like muscles, money, and Salman Khan. I said you don't have to say the first two. You say Salman Khan. That is all three.
That's all
put
three together.
So I would do jokes like
Okay.
this just to lighten the mood, and I did. I did about 45 minutes of talking
Crazy.
and telling them stories of how I got into the bus. Couple of jokes like, this is the first time where if anybody doesn't like the show, you can't leave.
Yeah, you gotta stay here.
You're stuck.
There's
Where
no
are you
option.
gonna go? You can't get down halfway. Like my stop is here. I know all of us are going to Kurg, so
Perfect.
so stuff like that.
But how did the show go then? Did you go ahead
no,
and entertain them?
I kept all the jokes that I wanted to do for the show aside and didn't touch them.
So there you were just talking to them. And
I was talking to them.
More
Like I said, all the old jokes.
Okay.
And this thing happens when you forget a couple of jokes and you work on new jokes. When a year later, when you go back to them, you have fresher perspective.
Yeah.
And you can talk about them with a new voice. So you spontaneously try and add more to it, which sometimes works. So not all 45 minutes on the bus was nice. It was a bumpy ride.
Bumpy ride.
But
literal terms.
But overall, it ended on a good note where everybody at the end applauded. They said hi, and while we had lunch on the way to Kurd, everybody was like, "Thank you so much. You were very nice."
Perfect, man. I think that means there's enough stuff in you to even take something like that, right? Everyone can't do that.
Yeah, but also on the bus, like when you're at a stand-up show, you have a meter in your head where as time goes by, if you don't get a laugh, you know you're not doing well.
You're not doing well.
But when you're on a bus, most of it is you're just being interesting for the people because you're in a bus. There's a bus engine noise. There's a honking. There are other people outside. So if you have everybody's attention for 45 minutes, that's a good enough gig. That was. I don't think I'll ever do that again. But it was an experience in itself.
So that's what I wanted to start off with this episode with because I find it really crazy. How many others do you think would have done something like that? Very fair.
I've heard a story of an international comedian.
Okay.
When he was talking to another comic about this, and the international comedian is really big. So one of his friends later pulled him aside and he said, "Don't do this stupidity of going to random places." And don't perform on.
Don't do it.
Because in New York, you have the double-decker buses where they take the tour. So some comedians were invited to do a set
on
them
those double-decker.
on the double-decker buses. So one of the comedians did it, and the other comedian who is no more, but he kind of yelled at him saying, "What are you going to achieve by telling jokes to people on a bus with sound on the other side?" So
nice, man, nice. So Shankar, couple of curious questions that are in my head, and I'd really want to take your view on that. One of the first things, just relating to this whole bus story that you told, it gets me to think. So, what's the mix in stand-up? Is it all prepared? Is it all spontaneous? Are you a guy who sits and do you have a folder of jokes? Do you have a note on your phone? How does that work?
So I don't write down everything explicitly on either phone or book. I write down the ideas that I'm going to talk about. I write down in stand-up it's called a set list.
Set list.
Where if I'm going to be talking about my childhood, my work, my landlord, my beard, you put up a set list of these are the topics I'm going to be talking about. And then within that, you maybe can draw a line and be like, in this topic, these are the jokes. Or these are the things that I want to talk about. So I have pointers that I write down. And when I started out, I used to write down every joke to the T. I'll write down the whole joke. I'll underline
word to word.
Yeah, I'll underline
and then what, you rehearse it?
At home, of course. You would be like, I'd go into the front of the mirror and I'd be like, all right, this is how it is and all that. But over time, I realized that being in front of a live audience is different from when you're at home by yourself practicing. So I wouldn't practice how I would do the joke. But I tried to get up on stage and talk the same way I am talking right now without changing anything.
Yeah. And how does that work? So did it work for you then?
Yes, it definitely worked. I think Kenny Sebastian.
Okay.
This was first 2 years of stand-up. And once you start doing enough stand-up, like I said, you do 5 minutes, then you do 15, then you do 20, then you do 1 hour. But somewhere along the line, when you keep working, you get enough confidence to host a show.
Okay.
And hosting is one of the toughest jobs because you have to go up front, talk to the crowd, make them comfortable, and introduce the acts one after the other. So if you don't do well, then
the whole show
looks very bad, and it's the comedian's job to rescue you rather than you being the anchor of the show.
Yeah.
So when I first started out, I would puke every time they call me on stage before they call me.
Because the nervousness.
The anxiety is too much. I was like, why am I doing this? I should go home. Nobody should listen to me and all of that. So I remember it was take 5 and I was hosting.
What is that? Stage 5?
Sorry, it was take 5.
Take 5. Okay. Take 5.
Take 5. It's a pub. It was a pub in Indiranagar, one of the first venues to do stand-up in Bangalore.
Perfect.
I was hosting the show and it was the very first time I'm hosting. And I was so nervous. I was just rushing through my jokes, not getting a laugh.
Who decides that you're hosting?
Well, if you do stand-up enough and if there's nobody who's there who can host, they'll ask you. Can you host it?
Can you host it?
So then
that's where the opportunity
someone announces, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have the comedy show that's going to begin now. Please put your phones on silent. To start off, we're going to invite the host on stage. Please put your hands together for Shankar Chugani. I went up on stage. I kept talking with like a lot of speed, and I'd call each act. And Kenny Sebastian called me. He said, why are you so nervous? And I'm like, I'm hosting. He's like, it's exactly how you do stand-up. Just relax, go talk to the crowd. Nobody's going to bite you. Nobody's going to come. It's your first time. Just enjoy the joke that you yourself are doing instead of trying to definitely make it work. It's not going to work like that. They've given you hosting because you've shown improvement over the time. So don't take it like, oh my God, another responsibility. Be like, hey, I have done so well that now I can talk to the crowd without jokes and just call on the next guy.
It's a new opportunity, right? Actually.
So then slowly it kind of reduced where I went up on stage and I was just talking to people and made them comfortable, and you learn a couple of tricks that gets the hosting easier. And I realized that the very first couple of months when I went up on stage, I was more of a presenter than a person on stage talking, telling my jokes. And again, another famous guy, I think it was Biswa Kalyan, we were sitting at an open mic, and he told me, he said, man, you're a nice, sweet guy. But when you go up on stage and you try and present yourself, you're adding extra sweetness, which is annoying. Nobody.
That's a tough feedback.
I mean, he was right. Because I would go up on stage and be like I'd put on a voice for my joke. Now when I'm talking, I'm not thinking of how I want to talk.
So this is how you speak even.
This is how I speak even now when I go up on stage. I talk like this, but initially because you don't know.
You often feel when you're on stage, you need to perform. And when you say perform, you feel like you need to be someone who you're not. Maybe is that the...
No, that's not even the real reason. That's part of the reason. But the real reason is when you go up on stage thinking you're going to make people laugh. Every comedian at one point has seen an audience where they don't laugh. And when you tell your joke with all your energy and people don't laugh, that silence is deafening.
Hell, bro. Hell.
Like you start sweating on the inside of your body.
Yeah.
It's horrible. So when you present it, it kind of it puts a distance between the audience and your personal essence.
Yeah. Nice.
So when he told me that, I realized that when I go up on stage, I practice in my head like, hi guys, my name is Shankar Chugani, and the other day I was walking. And I'm like, why am I doing that? I don't talk like that.
Just speak way you are.
Nobody talks like that at home.
Killer.
Nobody says, Mom, can I get... Nobody says that.
Yeah.
So just The way you talk like that.
And so that means the more, the higher you climb in the ladder of doing better, the more you're becoming yourself.
the more vulnerable you get over time, you understand
Nice.
it's easier to just be yourself than to try and put on a voice or try and
Perfect.
be someone on stage that you're not in real life.
Nice, man. So, Shankar, when we look at the creative field, right, there are two things, according to me, that drive creativity. One is your personal experiences, and one is your professional experiences. Both have the ability to make you more creative as you go forward. Personal, yeah, we may get into that in a bit, but you've been a big part of Jagriti Theatre in Bangalore, right? So, want to know, like, you're so involved, very often you have shows there, and you said you've worked with them in the past. So, yeah, man, like, why were you working there, first of all? And second, how did that kind of help you at least improve on your, thought process, creativity, etc.?
So I'll backtrack a couple of steps. I came to Bangalore in 2010. I started working in HP for tech support.
Okay.
And 2 years or year and a half I did that.
Okay.
And then that's when the bug of stand-up kind of bit me when I watched the number of comedians that are there in the world. So I would work in the night shift, 10 in the night to 7 in the morning.
Okay.
And I would do the weekend shift as well. And there's very little work on the weekends.
Yeah.
But someone needs to be there just in case something happens. So I would, and you can't, when you're working in an office, you cannot play games, or you cannot, but you can browse and
read,
look up and read as much as you can.
That is fine.
So I started Googling names of stand-up comedians.
Okay.
Of course, Russell Peters was the first guy that in college you watch, and
most of us, I think, yeah.
But when I started discovering comedians, just the number of comedians blew my mind. So I started making an Excel sheet of just
this
comedians, and the name of their 1 hour specials.
Cool. Okay.
So Russell Peters has Red, Brown, and White.
Yes.
And Notorious and Almost Famous and so on and so forth. So in my Excel sheet, you have Russell Peters with the 5-6 specials that he has. So I started building that list, and over time, just discovering 1 hour specials, comedians, their quotes, their interviews, would take up a lot of my time. Even when I'm not working, when I'm at home, on my phone, I'd be watching stand-up. I kept adding to that list. I kept looking up posters of comedians, and it kind of took over to such an extent that I didn't want to do anything else. I just wanted to keep getting more and more involved with stand-up.
Okay.
So then I looked up if there are comedians in India. Veer Das's video came up, and Abhish Matthews' video came up, and I watched that, and I was wondering if stand-up happens locally. And I found out at that point there were a couple of venues where stand-up was happening. So I wanted to get out because I couldn't continue working in a tech support company and pursue stand-up. So I went to an ad agency for an interview.
Okay.
To become a copywriter, because my study was, I did college in media, visual communication. So they hired me as an intern.
Okay.
They said, we can't pay you right now. You can quit your job. Come here. I said, I can't quit my job.
Yeah.
I am a middle class guy.
Who's gonna pay you, right?
I'm a middle class guy that has debt at home. There is no way I can quit my job and then...
And you will get a whooping also.
And then intern with you, and with the hope that I might join you. I said, I can come here in the evening hours if that's the best I can do. And it was a last minute chance, because I was getting up to leave from the interview, and I said, I can only come here in the evening hours. But... thank you for your time. And I was leaving. They said, if you can come here in the evening hours, we can work on that. You can go to your job, come here in the evening, spend time here.
Yeah.
But I wasn't getting paid there. So it's not like I was on 2 payrolls.
Perfect.
So I did that for about 6 months.
Okay.
Just working a full-time job and being a part-time intern. And I was spending 18 hours outdoors.
Oh, man.
At work, at this.
Insane.
It was quite a ride. It was incredible. then the ad agency was like, you know what, now we can hire you as a junior copywriter and we'll see how we can take it forward. So I quit my tech support job, took about 4 days off because my joining date was next week. Was chilling at home, and next week I joined ad agency.
Yeah.
But 3 months into the ad agency, I was like, this sucks.
This is not happening.
This is not this is not what I thought. And I always had this feeling that because I'm coming from a tech support background, anything that I suggest will not be taken lightly, will not be taken seriously.
Okay.
They'll be like, we hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
But we'll think about it.
We'll think about it.
Or and it was happening like that, where I was giving ideas, or I was writing down lines for a lot of things, but they were like, rework on this, rework on this. And that was a senior copywriter who kind of...
And only because of your background.
Yeah.
That's playing a huge role in how they are perceiving you.
But the senior copywriter kind of protected me from like the higher management, where he was like, you finish this and come to me, and I will tell you how to go forward, or I will pitch it, which will make it easier. And he helped me immensely, because I was at that point I was horrible even with grammatical errors sometimes, typing errors sometimes, which, because proofreading is not my best forte. So, and he discovered that I wanted to stand up in the evening hours. At about 6 o'clock, he'd be like, you know what, you go to your mic, I'll handle it.
Okay.
And that helped me immensely.
Okay, perfect.
So I started going to open mics then.
Nice. Still being an intern?
Still being... No, after 6 months, they had hired me.
Correct.
So I started going there, and then I started going to open mics.
And the other job?
I'd quit.
Okay, yeah, perfect.
So I quit.
So now you're at the ad agency, where you're getting paid and starting the open mics, because the senior guy is also helping you out with all this setup.
His name is Sagar Janeja.
Awesome, wonderful man. Guy. Thanks, Sagar.
So... and I remember the first time I was about to go to an open mic and do my jokes. Very first time in my life. All the people at the office, the bosses had left. They were like, why don't you tell us what you're going to do on stage? And I told them my jokes in nervous energy, and nobody laughed.
Oh, shit.
And they said, you know what, don't do this to yourself, because this is horrible to watch. So I went to the loo, I vomited. I washed my face, and I headed for my first open mic on that energy. So when I reached the open mic, in my head I was all like, this is going to go bad.
Yeah, of course, because no one's laughed and you have already puked.
Yeah, so I went up on stage with the expectation that this is going bad. Which helped me, because that was technically my first open mic happened in the office itself. So that day I went and I did the open mic at Take 5. And it went well. Surprisingly.
Nice. How many people in the audience?
There were about 22 people in the audience.
Okay.
There was a white person sitting, and in my joke, I have a couple of jokes about tech support.
Okay.
I'm not going to do those jokes now because they are horrible jokes.
No worries.
But I asked that lady out of the flow. I saw the white lady, and before I could do my tech support joke, I said, ma'am, have you ever called tech support?
Okay.
She said, yeah, I have a few times. And out of the flow, like receiving a phone call, I said, thank you for calling tech support. And that got a huge laugh. It got a huge laugh, and I hadn't even written that when I came to the venue.
Nice.
So when I got that laugh, I was jumping in my head, thinking, how did I get this?
Yeah.
I'm trying to make people laugh, and I said this, and they were laughing. It was nuts.
It wasn't even part of the plan.
It was nuts.
So the first realization that I'm able to write stuff on the go as well, right?
So then, at some point, I told myself I can't work at the agency because it's not going anywhere, and I'm more of a burden than I'm.
You're adding value.
There. So I remember sitting down and looking up volunteering on weekends on Google, and the first search result was Jagriti Theatre.
Lovely.
And I saw the images of the people. I saw the images of the space, and I saw that they were going to have a stand-up show at the theatre. There were 4 comedians, all 4 from one religion, and the name of the show was...
you're saying all 4 from a different religion?
A different religion. So, it was called Comedy in Diversity, or... Joke in Diversity, something like that.
No worries. Trying to pitch diversity.
Yeah, that was Zakir Khan, Mahib Singh, Nishant Tanwar, and Abhish Mathew.
Okay.
These 4 comedians were doing... They had 2 shows. I bought tickets for both the shows. Alright. And I came with Sagar to watch.
Hmm.
And evening I went by myself to watch.
Okay.
And some of the comedians pulled my legs. They were like, "You can't understand a joke in the first go, is it? Why do you have to come and watch the same show
Oh,
second
shit.
time?"
Oh, because you had bought
I had
tickets.
watched. I was sitting in the front row
Oh, okay.
watching the show both the times. And it was nuts.
Nice, nice.
So then I approached the people at Jagriti and I told them I'd like to volunteer here.
Okay.
They said, "Come off on the weekends." And religiously for 6 months, I'd go to the ad agency, go to open mics in the evening, come to Jagriti on weekends, and I started taking up jobs like ushering people in, handling latecomers, making sure as someone is there in the front of house, like they have a foyer space that where all the audience members are there. So if they need to go get water
Okay.
or go to the loo, or if they want a flyer about the play, I would
hop in.
I would hop in. So I did that for a while, and it became like a routine. And the people at Jagriti also saw that I'm not just showing up once in a while.
Yeah.
Because just from a guy who's working in tech support to ad agency to now being in a theater, literally it opened my mind to speaking to so many different people.
Yeah.
Just understanding that when you go to tech support, you have a 30-minute lunch break.
Yeah.
You have to finish the lunch break, come back and log in back into your system to work. In an ad agency, you have a 1 hour lunch break where within the 2-kilometer radius of the office, you can go anywhere for lunch, but come back within an hour.
That was a perk at the time for you.
At that time I was like, you can just go out for lunch.
Man, this is cool. Like, real.
You can just go out for lunch. I actually asked my senior copywriter, I'm like, what time are we supposed to come back? He said, anytime we burp after our lunch, we can come back.
Shit.
And I was like, that is incredible.
I think that's what caught on to you.
That gave me happiness that I am now sitting in a hotel having lunch while I have to go back and work. The understanding of work hours and I have to finish my work was different. When I joined the theater, they said, if you're working on a previous night at a show at Jagriti, the next day you can come a little late. You don't have to come because you don't have to come here and spend all your time here.
Yeah.
We just want you to, when you're working here, work here with the heart that you want to be here. And that blew my mind even more because there was, at sometimes they'll be
it's the first time you're even listening to all of this.
Yeah, they were like, you want to go for lunch and come back, you go.
Nice.
If there's no show in the evening, if you want to go for an open mic, go
Do
ahead.
it.
It's okay. So
that was
slowly I was volunteering at Jagriti so much that the person who had called me, he was like they were looking for someone who to handle their social media. So I went and I said, what else can I do? Because after ushering people in, you have to sit there and handle latecomers. Once that job is done, you're like, what else can I do? And then they said, you have these, we have an email address to which people write for inquiries, for volunteering. Reply to them. So about 450 people I replied to.
Psych.
But it's great fun.
Yeah.
Just each of their inquiry write to them
Right
as a
there.
person. Then they said, can you design? I said, I don't design as much, but I can try. They had a system and Photoshop and everything done. So
and
I
all this
started.
over the weekends, right?
At this point, I had joined them.
Okay, so you're almost full time.
So I had switched. It took me a year to switch from
the ad
advertising
agency
to
Jagriti.
Jagriti.
Okay.
I started working at Jagriti as the social media manager. And over time, I had just, because when you're working at a theater, there everybody has their own designation, but like everybody kind of does multiple things.
Of
Folks
course.
who work at the theater, they're also actors, directors. So you need
the
someone,
multiple roles.
You need someone to handle lighting, backstage, and if you're not occupied with something, they'll call you and assign you for this. And see if you can work. So I handled. To a certain point, I was handling social media, designing, website, little bit of admin. I learned the box office to check people's tickets. I had understood their marketing, their conversation with other media houses. I at one point started talking to theatre productions to invite them to Jagriti.
But this is in line, simultaneously the open mics are happening.
Open mics are happening.
Okay, crazy.
But I'd go to Jagriti, I'd work there for...
And they were paying you, like you were happy with, how that was happening, or... Because you told me tech support, then the ad agency, then you said Jagriti.
Yeah, so each.
But is the graph going upwards?
No, it's going reverse.
It's going reverse.
It
That's
was
what
going
I
reverse.
wanted to know.
So
Yeah.
from tech, me and my brother joined it. Sorry, me and my brother joined tech support at the same time. And over 3 years, he had made progress to
Financially,
yeah. Even designation wise, he was getting promotions.
And you were.
I was switching streams.
Yeah.
And
so there's no real graph that's
No,
growing. In fact, it's up and down.
My graph was not just up; it was going fully down. Like from the amount both of us started making at the same time.
Okay.
He started making double of that in 3 years. I was making like 50% of that by the third year when I was, or fifth year when I was working in Jagriti. But I told him that, and during those days I wasn't going out.
Right.
No.
So your expenses were also less.
I was just taking care of expenses, focusing on stand-up, working at Jagriti, and that kind of.
Man, this is real hustle, dude. Like, this is
No,
proper
but
hustle.
you have to understand this. Jagriti is such a blessing in disguise because I got to sit down and watch 65 plays a year for over 2.5 years.
The way your mind opens up due to that is something I can't comprehend, of course.
Forget about the heavy wording of your mind opening up, but just watching live performances day in, day out, expressions, emotions, how people react, the difference between one show getting received really well versus one show not getting received that well, how people mess up and how they cover up, how the show must go on.
Right.
There are things that I did at Jagriti that taught me how the show must go on. Like in the middle of a show once, a couch broke on stage.
Oh shit.
Alright, I'll get to that story in a second. So, because I was working in Jagriti, rather than me handling a lot of Jagriti had filled up my time with so much that I didn't have space for anything else.
Okay.
It was live performances at Jagriti, managing there, making sure everything is on top, and I was handling some 7-8 designations. So there was no time to worry at all. You were like, this is done. I had a to-do list that I started creating when I was working. The people who started Jagriti are hard taskmasters but wonderful people. Mr. Jagdish Raja and Ms. Anunati Raja.
Lovely.
Who've been doing theatre for over 40 years.
Oh, beautiful, man.
So they know how, like, they know the things that need to be done for everything to be running smoothly.
Okay.
So when I was given, like, when the person who I reached out to volunteer there, when I took his position, when he left, I was the guy running around doing everything.
Okay, nice.
And
so you must be like respected a lot in the space now there.
Well, now.
Yeah, now.
When I was there, I was like the guy running around because the guy who was doing my job before me, he was at least 5-6 years older than me.
Okay.
With theatre experience.
Perfect.
With a whole bunch of other experience dealing with people.
I was more qualified in terms of the experiences.
Jagriti made me more of a person who can handle dealing with people.
Lovely.
Then I understood how to handle latecomers. I once cops came because I stopped a latecomer and he called the cops.
He called the cops.
So I'll tell you these two stories about cops and the couch. So to finish, I had done stand-up over about 3.5 years. And comedians started calling me to travel to another city to do stand-up.
Right.
But Jagriti shows happen in the evening, in the weekends. And I was the main guy running everything there, so I couldn't just leave.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't have the diplomacy of being like, listen, I have to go for a show, but I'll appoint someone.
Yeah.
Because if they mess up, I still have to be answerable.
Yeah.
So,
man, like, honestly, I'm sorry to interrupt you, right? But I'm just thinking, this is like, it's a lot of work, man. You're underestimating the amount of work that's gone in, and it's reminding me of my first sentence that I told you guys, right? Comes across as a very hardworking guy. I wasn't lying. But bro, from there, now you have your special on Amazon, right? So if you haven't watched it, this is like a proper plug. Like, Amazon Prime, the name of the show is
Stand Up Shorts.
Yes.
And my set is called Selling Myself Short.
So stand-up short, selling myself short, everything short. But in short, if you haven't watched it, watch it, right? So does it feel relieving? Does it feel like you have some amount of success on your portfolio now?
No, not really. It doesn't
Okay.
really feel because
Bro, but come on, it's fancy, man. Like you got a Prime Video branding on yourself.
I mean,
and not
it
every
does-
Bangalorean comic has that.
True. I
Yeah.
appreciate the opportunities I've gotten, and I'm
Yeah.
really grateful for the platform, so that many people have seen it and people come to watch me live, so I can do that in Bangalore. But when you think about the kind of jokes that you want to
Okay.
do, when you've seen the comedians that have just gone light years ahead of what you can ever achieve.
Okay.
You know, like, what am I so happy about? What am I? So you keep pursuing
You
the
do-
next joke, the
so
next
even
thing.
you do compare yourself to.
No, I don't compare
Okay.
myself. I'm so blown away. I was so blown away with the comedians that I watched, that whenever you write something or when you when you get a laugh, you go back, and as time goes by, you look at your previous work and you're all like, I didn't know what I was talking about back then. So as you keep getting better, as you keep improving, you feel like you're just getting started.
You're just getting started.
So,
and I think that's in any creative space. You know, sometime back I told you, right? So to become better at any creative space, there's a professional front and there's a personal front. A professional front, now I understand how Jagriti has laid the base. On the personal front, I remember recently I saw a video. I think you went live with your mom.
right, yeah.
Right? Recently.
Yes.
Like a month back?
Yeah,
How-
less than a month ago.
Very candid, very raw. First of all, I was confused. Okay, what is the live about? Then I got to know. But the important point, the reason why I'm bringing it, I love the rapport you had with your mom on that live, right? So, does that help? Like, why I'm asking you is because if you have such a nice rapport with your parents, then that definitely helps in the whole pursuit of staying in a field that's pretty tough, say financially, in terms of getting recognition, all of this. So how does it work? Like, I want to listen about your mom because she came across as a very sweet person, I have to say.
I will talk about my mom in just less than 90 seconds.
Okay.
Just to finish the story about Jagriti.
Yeah, sure.
So there was a play where there was an interval in the middle,
Okay.
and it's a scene where someone is getting dizzy. So two of them hold this person on either side and they drop them on the sofa.
Okay.
And it went well, but one particular show, they dropped them on the sofa and the sofa broke in the middle of the show.
Okay.
So in character, the actress kind of lifted the sofa, made it sit properly, and they were like, and it was not part of the script, but they said, this is also now broken. Don't you have any shame? And they continued the scene. So Mr. Raja, who is, he lives nearby in a building, and he on the 7th floor. So in the interval, I'm handling latecomers. He pulls me. He said, walk with me now. We go with another backstage volunteer. We go to his house, pick up his wooden couch, come back down and put it on stage
while the play is happening.
before the interval can finish.
Oh!
So when the interval is about to start, he comes with me. He said, let's go. And quickly we picked up the sofa, came back, kept it outside in the foyer. The moment the interval finished, we switched this, brought that back. And people thought that was part of the play. People thought that was supposed to happen. That the couch breaks
and you replace it with a new one.
Because other two chairs are different. Only this couch is a different set of couch. But it was, so I understood that you have to be
quick.
Yeah, you have to keep. You can't like announce it and so on and so forth. Once someone fell down while they were getting ready and injured themselves so bad that they needed stitches on their leg.
Oh shit. During the play?
Just before the play can begin.
Okay.
And Jagriti is very strict with their timings. Once the play starts, latecomers not allowed. So the bell rings on time. I was in charge of the bell.
Okay.
So 5 minutes before the third bell, before the play can start, the director and the in charge at Jagriti for lights, Vinod Mishra, wonderful guy. He's running down to the green room and he's like, don't ring the third bell. And I go down and apparently some guy fell down and he's injured his thigh to his point. I don't know, something sharp. Cut him and he's in pain. So they showed the director the injury and he's like, we have to go to the doctor right now. We have to get this stitched or else it'll be a problem. Director's like, I don't care about, I can't do anything. I have to save the actor. So they leave, and it's an ensemble cast. An ensemble cast is when a few actors take on multiple roles.
Okay, got it. Okay.
So they come in as one character,
And
when
then
they
again
leave,
at
they'll
some
come back
point-
with a different outfit. So they play multiple roles. That's an ensemble cast. So the ensemble cast is trying to stitch the show without the other actor. The other actor was in 4 different roles. So these
Oh
people are
my
like, in
God.
this scene, you are doing this role, so you do his role, I'll come as you, and then we'll switch. And they're writing the play on the fly, but it'll take at least 15, 20, 30 minutes
to even figure it out. Yeah,
I inform the management, there's a crisis, there's an emergency, but the audience is already in the theater. So I had to go and make an announcement like, hey guys, there's been a medical emergency. We'll start the show a little late. I appreciate your patience. And I knew that they were not going to they're not going to sit down quietly you can't play music at a theater.
Yeah.
So I started doing stand-up
Oh.
on the fly just to keep them entertained. There were kids in the crowd, so I started talking to them, made them jokes. I think about 20 minutes I did a set.
You took a set.
I said, thank you so much for your patience. I appreciate you guys being so cordial about it. Another 10 minutes, we'll start the show. I went back, we announced the show happened. Even at the end of the show, they were like, can you tell us who was injured? Because we don't know. The audience was like, we don't know who was injured.
They never figured it out.
The guy who was injured was sitting outside. And it was a memorable night because the director was like...
This is unbelievable.
The director is actually a guy who's directing Rashmi Rocket, the new movie.
Okay.
His name is Adarsh Sakare.
Oh, nice.
He was the guy.
Nice.
He also made Mismatched.
Okay, perfect. Which recently came out on Netflix, right? Yeah.
So it was a wonderful evening of doing that. The last story of
so beautiful.
The last story that I want to share of Jagriti is...
Sure, man. Go ahead.
Like I said, latecomers not allowed. So one big CEO of a startup shows up late. There's a volunteer standing outside, and she tells him, sorry sir, you can't get in. And then he starts making a scene, so I have to step in because I have to ring the bell, come back outside and make sure everything's okay. So I tell him, sir, you can't get in. Once the play starts, it's over. He said, give it to me in writing. I said, I'm not going to do any of that. It's on your ticket. It's on your message that you get when you book a ticket in bold. That's strictly no latecomers.
Yeah.
It's written over here on the glass, strictly no latecomers. I can't help you. He said, you don't know who I am? You watch. He called the cops. He said, sir, they took my money.
Oh, this was the guy who...
Yeah. They took my money and they're not letting me in. Please come. The cops showed up. And I am in charge. Cops can't believe it. They are asking me to go get the real person in charge. The sound and the light technician are older people who are trying to step in, but I am the manager. I am the guy running like the latecomers and everything. So I was like, sir, I am the guy in charge. They told me sit in the jeep. So I'm sitting in the police jeep that's parked outside. My bosses came down. My bosses had a verbal match with the guy who was late, and they said, please don't support live theatre in your life ever again, because this is the kind of support that we don't want. People have put 2 months of work to go through a play, and you cannot walk in halfway. This is not a movie theatre. And they chased him out, but he didn't take back his complaint to the cops. So the cops are like, this guy will come to station with us, spend the night, and then you can bring him in the morning. My bosses are like, he is not leaving the premises at all. We can't. They had an argument and they got me out. But it was an intense evening. So all of that kind of teaches you to it opens up your mind to all the possibilities that you face on stage, backstage. Sometimes when people would come late at Jagriti, and there's an interval, I'll try and tell them jokes to entertain them while they are late. And in the interval, I'll ask an audience member, could you tell them the first half? What happened, what you saw on stage. Because everybody gets a synopsis about the play. So they have an idea of what's going to happen. I'll tell them, can you tell us what happens in the first scene, second scene, third scene? They give them a gist.
Okay. And
that gives even the audience member a liberty to interpret the play in their own way. And then this person goes in the second half and watches the second half. So you learn so much.
You figure out new ways.
Yeah, it's just incredible that place. I've learned so much about dealing with people, situations, performances, audiences.
Nice, man.
That's about it.
What an opportunity, right? Like,
yeah, Jagriti. I never thought when I started volunteering there that
It's
place
amazing.
will teach me.
so much.
I've told a couple of friends that the carpet
Hmm.
at the steps at Jagriti has taught me more than my college degree.
Man.
Like I've learned more
Salute to that,
handling
yeah.
latecomers and speaking to people because when I first started out, I was so intimidated.
I've never heard someone speak so deeply about.
Because when I first
Jagriti.
started out
Hmm.
and I was handling latecomers, I was feeling guilty and I was intimidated that I'm stopping this person when he's paid money.
Hmm.
Only later I realized that he's not entitled to walk
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
Because it takes more than just lights
Yeah.
for a live theatre performance. It's a live show.
Hmm.
You can't. There's no.
Yeah.
So it really opened
Blew
my
your
mind.
mind, yeah, almost. Nice, man. Like, because of course your stories, like every second day there's some mention about Jagriti. But honestly, I think your social media now, if I have to look at it, I think people haven't understood this side of why you are so involved with these guys. I hope, whoever your people are at Jagriti watch this and see how much you are involved with them and what that makes you feel, right? So kudos to that. So yeah, man, we were speaking about your mom. Like, I want to know, how does that support come through? How does she feel about you? And
Firstly,
all of this.
when you tell a comic, man, we are speaking about your mom, you kind of want to go back being all like, why don't we speak about your mom? So
I speak about a lot of moms on this show, but however that sounds.
So,
But yeah, man.
my mom and dad, they've seen their own side of struggle,
Okay.
troubles. But I'm not going to share what their struggle
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
It was personal, professional,
Okay.
financial, everything.
Yeah.
But over years, they've managed to retain their sense of humor
Lovely.
over the years.
Both of them.
They're very different kind of funny people, but they're mostly funny.
Okay.
Like my dad, during the day he's a little serious, but he won't be rude, but he'll be by himself. In the evening when he gets his drink, he's a different person. He's chilling. Even during the day he's warm to guests and he's a great host.
Okay.
But in the evening he's on a whole other tangent. He's called me and he'll tell me jokes.
Oh, that's
Randomly.
cool.
Like he'll be like, every time I come back from the shop after closing the shop, there is World War going on in my stomach.
Why?
There is Saddam Hussein and George Bush. They're fighting. Then I take a bottle of Old Monk
Oh, he
and I load a glass and I down it. Saddam Hussein keeps quiet. I take another one, down it, and George Bush is silent. Then I take a final one and I do it, and then there's world peace in my stomach. This is the kind of jokes he tells me just because he's in his own.
he should try stand up, dude. Like, literally.
So mom also, her whole agenda has always been very peaceful, very pleasant. Not they're not people who yell.
Okay.
They're not people who make a ruckus about anything.
They're happy people.
They're chill people. They have peace of mind. They work. For the most part, they only give me advice. The only thing is they want me to get married really quickly. But other than that, they never really interfere.
Okay, that's nice.
And as you saw on the video,
Yeah.
mom is very at this point she watches. They became grandparents about a year ago.
Oh, okay.
So now most of the time is spent with the
Nice.
grandson. And they used to make chocolates when they
Just
were
to clarify, these are not your kids,
not
right?
my kids. Not my kids.
Yeah.
At least my parents don't know about the kids that I have. So my brother and my
Okay.
bhabhi.
Okay, perfect.
So they used to make chocolates when they were in Kunur. Now they've shifted to Bangalore,
Nice.
spending time with their grandson. So
That's
that's why they're chill and they're peaceful. It took them a lot of time also to get to this peaceful
Yeah.
place. Even with
Oh,
the
in
support
their
of
personal lives, you're saying?
their personal
Okay.
lives and their support for me as a stand-up. Because for the last for half a decade they didn't know where I was going. They didn't know
So what advice would they give you at that point? Was it more on the financial side, or was it just to do with your life?
they were. So I didn't tell them I'm going to do stand-up. I didn't
Okay.
tell them I was going to do stand-up full-time. Because I thought it was pointless to try and convince them. I just kept going to open mics
Okay.
without telling them. And I performed at the Bangalore Comedy Festival the first year it happened. I think that was 2015 or 16. It happened at UB City, and I invited my brother and bhabhi to watch. And I performed, and I had a great set. So then, and my brother and bhabhi even to this date are big fans of Danish Seth.
Okay.
So Danish was in the Bangalore Comedy Festival. Because he's part of the same circle in terms of performers and live performers and funny people. So he said, "Hey man, I watched your set, really funny.
Oh.
How are you?" And we were having a conversation about improv.
Nice.
And my brother and bhabhi are blown away that someone that they look up to is talking to me
having a conversation
like a regular
with you.
conversation. So then my bro supported me in front of my parents. He said, "Let him do what he's doing.
Yeah.
Let him keep going," because I saw what he did, and like it seems like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, it seems like he fits the place.
So when Comic Stand came out, they were a little more relaxed because more people went and told my parents that, "Hey, we watched your son and he's doing a great job," and so on and so forth. So at this point, they're all pretty chill. And now they're okay. Mom is like, they listen to my jokes. Dad gives me suggestions
So
for
they've
jokes.
accepted your profession now.
Yeah, only thing is this profession is still very unstable, where you don't know when live shows will continue and improve and keep happening. So other than that worry, I think they're all chill because I don't have a job. I don't have I wake up in the morning, I make chai, chill with folks, help them out in the house, washing vessels and doing all of that. And I enjoy.
Then you wait to get up on stage.
Yeah,
whenever that is next.
I enjoy household chores. They're
Nice.
really, really like good fun because it's a good exercise. I've always grown with the idea of like sweeping, dusting. My mom says, "Shanky, I want to dust the whole of this room." I'll be like, "Let's do it." And it gives me a lot of fun to move furniture, sweep, clean, move it
like
back.
I said, right? Own world office. No idea. Like, this is your own world, bro. That's how nice it is.
Isn't it incredible to just move things around, clean up, and then like it gives you a fresh start.
Man. Nice.
So
that's a new perspective. I've never heard that before. But man, Shankar, I want to share a few things at this point, man. Like,
I've been talking relentlessly for the last 45
No worries.
minutes. Your cinematographer's all like, "Shut up!"
No, man, that's okay. So I want to share a few things, right? First of all, like again, right? So no filters on you. But I still feel, I have this strong feeling now after talking to you so much. For some reason, there's a long way you have, man. Like, in the field of stand-up, I feel like you're going to create your own path. I feel like the steps you're going to take isn't going to be similar to maybe another stand-up comedian. The reason being, one, you're always going to be open to trying something new. That is one thing you've proven with your stories. So tomorrow if someone comes and gives you another opportunity, which may not be really stand-up, but in the space of, say, entertainment or media, I think you'll take it up, man. Like, I don't think I can tag you as a stand-up comedian. Okay. Like, I can, but I can't tag you only as a stand-up comedian. Right? That makes more sense.
I get that. But I've always that's another conversation I wanted to have about being in Bangalore and doing stand-up versus being a guy who does other things and stand-up.
Yeah.
As in, Mumbai is a great city for opportunities to become go to that next level. But you must understand something about stand-up. It takes over a decade or a decade and a half for a comedian to understand whether he can do this for the rest of his life. Because at some point,
that's how much time it takes.
At some point, you're all like, I don't find anything funny. I don't think I can go up on stage. The pandemic is one reason why a lot of comedians have just stopped doing stand-up and
they've gone back to something else.
No, some comedians have gone into streaming. Some comedians have gone into playing chess.
Crazy.
So, of course, he will still do stand-up, but I'm saying that there are so many hurdles that
have come up.
Only after about 10-12 years do you realize that I want to keep doing this for the rest of my life. So, excuse me, any opportunity that I get, I want to always be clear that nothing brings me more happiness than just a live audience and telling them jokes.
So that's clear.
That's absolutely, because that high is unparalleled. I used to dance when I was in college
Mm.
and as a kid. I
Mm.
auditioned for Boogie Woogie and
Okay.
a lot of the dance shows. But when I got into stand up and the way I was sucked into the wormhole, that Excel sheet that I told you about
Mm.
in the starting of the conversation, today that Excel sheet stands at about 1,256
Oh
special
man,
names.
kudos to that. That's
It's
crazy.
just 7 years of, it's not even hard work. It's just 7 years of whenever you get time to
yeah,
being like,
put it down.
this comedian has a special, all right, this is great.
Mm.
This comedian. And we have social media to a point where you can reach out to comedians
Yeah.
from the US and being like, hey, I watched your special. It's incredible.
It's incredible.
So
Nice.
that's what keeps me happy because there's when you're hanging out with comedians, there's no filter.
Yeah.
There is no agenda also.
Yeah, you're
Everybody's
just there.
You're just chilling, having fun. The one thing that I missed the most in the pandemic was green room with the comedians.
With the comedians.
Because it's
That's
so much
your-
fun. It's just everybody just pulling each other's leg. Everybody trying to write the better joke while pulling each other's leg. And everybody trying to listen to another comedian set being all like, what is he saying? Has no brains or what? So all of this is what keeps me excited the most.
Nice, man. I wish the excitement stays the same. You have mad energy. I really kind of look forward to see the other journeys you take in your life. And one thing, like I told you before the show, right? Like, I've not called you here just for the episode. I want to document your journey. And now it's made me even more curious about what you're going to be doing next. So this studio is always going to be open for you.
Thank you.
At any point, if you feel like you want to speak about something and, you want to put it out there, feel free to give me a call and I'd be ready to shoot, man. It's as simple as that. Thank you for being here, Shankar.
So glad
I hope you
came.
had a good time.
I spoke my heart out. I feel so much better now. Thank you so much.
I'm glad. I hope you had a good time.
I did.
Awesome, man. So that was episode 13 of On a Personal Note with Adarsh Sakare. There you go. Thank you for being number 13 as well. I was scared who's going to accept the invitation.
Yeah, I don't know why 13 is just I feel like 13, the number itself feels very bad for its own fate.
Bro. So sad.
It's like I didn't do anything. Humans came up with the idea. I'm just a number. If you remove 13, the whole number system will fall on its face.
Literally. Like you need 13.
Yeah.
What will you do after 12? Go to 14?
Yeah.
That's
there
weird.
is actually some buildings in US where it's
Remove
there.
the number.
They
right?
remove number, so 14 is okay. But it being on the 13th place, people are all like, no, but it's 14.
14.
It's written as 1-4, so it's 14. It just makes no sense.
Oh man, crazy. So I hope you enjoyed this. Very different conversation this time around. Thank you for being here, guys. See you on the next one.